The journey of existence, for many, unfolds like a waking dream, a tapestry woven with threads of perception, experience, and the subtle whispers of an inner knowing. Yet, beneath the familiar hum of daily life, there lies an invitation, a profound summons to a deeper reality, a state of being often hinted at in ancient texts, whispered in mystical traditions, and now, increasingly, felt as an undeniable resonance within the collective human heart. This is the threshold of what we might call the final awakening, not an abrupt, singular event, but rather a gradual, yet ultimately irreversible unveiling of consciousness itself. It is the moment, or perhaps the sustained state, where the illusion of separation dissolves, and the individual mind merges with the boundless ocean of universal awareness, revealing the true nature of self and the intricate, living architecture of the cosmos. Imagine, if you will, a vast, intricate cosmic symphony playing since the dawn of time. For eons, humanity has been listening to a single instrument, perhaps a flute or a drum, believing it to be the entirety of the composition. The final awakening is akin to suddenly perceiving the entire orchestra, hearing every note, every harmony, every subtle nuance, and realizing that the single instrument was merely a facet of a grander, infinitely more complex and beautiful arrangement. It is the shift from being a solitary note to understanding oneself as the entire melody, the conductor, and even the silent space between the notes. This profound realization transcends mere intellectual understanding. It is an experiential knowing that permeates every fiber of one's being, recalibrating the very essence of perception. This awakening is not a destination to be reached through strenuous effort or external validation, but rather a remembrance, a shedding of the layers of forgetfulness that have accumulated over countless cycles of experience. It is the peeling back of veils, one by one, revealing the luminous core of truth that has always resided within. We are not merely physical beings inhabiting a material world. We are expressions of consciousness, sparks of the divine, momentarily veiled by the dense fabric of perceived reality. The awakening signifies the moment these sparks ignite into a blazing sun, illuminating the inner landscape and casting light upon the interconnectedness of all things. It is a return to source, a homecoming to the boundless self that predates form and transcends the limitations of time and space. The practical significance of such an awakening is as profound as its cosmic implications. In a world often characterized by fragmentation, conflict, and a pervasive sense of existential unease, the final awakening offers a radical paradigm shift. It is the antidote to the illusion of scarcity, the balm for the wounds of separation, and the key to unlocking an unprecedented era of peace, compassion, and creative coexistence. When one realizes their inherent unity with all life, the impulse to harm, to compete, to dominate, begins to wither, replaced by an innate desire to nurture, to collaborate, and to uplift. The external world, once perceived as a collection of separate objects and events, transforms into a dynamic, living reflection of one's inner state, a mirror revealing the boundless potential that lies within. This is not merely a philosophical concept. It is a lived experience that redefines one's relationship with self, others, and the entire planetary ecosystem. Consider the metaphor of a dream. While dreaming, the dream world feels utterly real, its characters, landscapes, and narratives compelling and often emotionally charged. Yet, upon waking, the entire construct dissolves, revealing the true reality of the bed, the room, and the waking consciousness. The final awakening is precisely this, a waking up from the collective dream of separation, scarcity, and limitation. It is the realization that the perceived boundaries between self and other, past and future, life and death, are merely constructs of a limited perception. As these constructs dissolve, a profound sense of liberation washes over the individual, accompanied by an expansive clarity that allows one to navigate the complexities of the world with unprecedented wisdom, grace, and an unwavering sense of inner peace. The anxieties that once plagued the mind begin to dissipate, replaced by a deep trust in the unfolding of life and an understanding of one's integral role within the grand cosmic design. This journey into full consciousness is not a passive experience. It demands an active engagement with one's inner landscape, a courageous willingness to confront shadows, release old patterns, and embrace the unknown. It is a process of deep introspection, self-inquiry, and a relentless pursuit of truth, regardless of how uncomfortable or challenging that truth may initially appear. The path is often illuminated by moments of profound insight, synchronicity, and an undeniable sense of being guided by an unseen hand. It is a dance between surrender and active participation, between letting go of what no longer serves and consciously aligning with the highest vibrational frequencies of love, joy, and boundless creativity. The implications of such an awakening ripple outwards, touching not only the individual, but also their immediate environment, their communities, and ultimately, the collective consciousness of humanity, initiating a profound shift in the very fabric of reality itself. The journey has begun, and the destination is the realization that we have always been home. Would you like me to continue? The journey into the heart of the final awakening reveals a constellation of core themes and guiding pillars, each illuminating a facet of this profound transformation. At its very essence lies the dismantling of the illusion of separation, a fundamental misconception that has long governed human experience. For eons, we have perceived ourselves as distinct, isolated entities, adrift in a vast, indifferent universe. This perception, akin to a single drop of water believing itself separate from the ocean, fosters fear, competition, and a relentless pursuit of external validation. The awakening, however, unveils the undeniable truth. We are not merely in the universe. We are the universe, experiencing itself through countless individual expressions. This realization is not a philosophical abstraction, but a visceral, felt experience, where the boundaries between self and other, inner and outer, begin to blur and ultimately dissolve, revealing an intricate web of interconnectedness that binds all existence. This dissolution of separation leads directly to the profound understanding of unity consciousness. Imagine a grand cosmic tapestry, infinitely vast and intricately woven. Each individual life, each star, each galaxy is not a separate thread, but an integral part of the whole, contributing to the overall design and vibrancy. Unity consciousness is the direct perception of this tapestry, the knowing that every seemingly disparate element is, in truth, an inseparable component of a single living organism. It is the recognition that the pain of another is, in a very real sense, one's own pain, and the joy of another, one's own joy. This deep empathy arises naturally from the understanding that we are all expressions of the same fundamental consciousness, flowing through diverse forms. This theme challenges the very foundation of egocentric existence, inviting a radical shift from me to we, from individual survival to collective thriving. Another pivotal theme is the transcendence of linear time and the embrace of the eternal present moment. Our conventional understanding of time as a linear progression from past to future is a construct of the limited mind, a useful tool for navigating the physical world, but ultimately an illusion when viewed from the perspective of awakened consciousness. The final awakening reveals that all moments, past, present, and future, coexist in an eternal now. This doesn't mean that events don't unfold sequentially in our perceived reality, but rather that the underlying fabric of existence is a timeless continuum. When one fully embodies the present moment, the anxieties of the past and the uncertainties of the future lose their grip, replaced by a profound sense of peace and an ability to respond to life with effortless grace. It is in this eternal now that true creation occurs, unburdened by the limitations of memory or anticipation. The past becomes a rich tapestry of lessons, and the future, an open field of infinite possibilities, all accessible from the stillness of the present. The nature of reality itself undergoes a radical reevaluation during this awakening. What was once perceived as solid, objective, and external is now understood as a dynamic, fluid, and largely subjective projection of consciousness. This isn't to say that the physical world isn't real, but rather that its reality is far more malleable and responsive to our inner state than previously imagined. The concept of the holographic universe, or the quantum field, becomes not just a scientific theory, but a lived experience, where thoughts, emotions, and intentions are recognized as powerful energetic frequencies that actively shape our perceived reality. The illusion of a fixed, external world gives way to the understanding that we are co-creators, constantly participating in the unfolding of our experience. This theme empowers the individual to consciously choose their vibrational alignment, recognizing that their inner world is the true architect of their outer circumstances. Furthermore, the final awakening illuminates the profound difference between knowledge and knowing. Knowledge, as we typically understand it, is accumulated information, facts, and theories gathered from external sources. Knowing, however, is an intuitive, direct apprehension of truth that bypasses the intellectual mind. It is a deep, resonant understanding that arises from within, often accompanied by a sense of absolute certainty. This shift from seeking external knowledge to trusting internal knowing is a hallmark of awakened consciousness. It involves a profound recalibration of our internal guidance system, where intuition becomes the primary compass, leading us towards alignment with our highest truth and purpose. This doesn't negate the value of intellectual inquiry, but rather places it in its proper context as a tool to explore and articulate the deeper truths already known at a soul level. Finally, the theme of unconditional love emerges as the foundational operating principle of awakened consciousness. Beyond romantic love or familial affection, unconditional love is the inherent state of being that recognizes the divine essence in all things, without judgment, expectation, or attachment. It is the boundless compassion that flows naturally when the illusion of separation dissolves, and one perceives oneself in every other being. This love is not an emotion, but a fundamental frequency, the very fabric of the universe. When one fully embodies this love, fear dissipates, forgiveness becomes effortless, and the capacity for joy expands exponentially. It is the ultimate healing force, capable of transforming not only individual lives, but also the collective consciousness of humanity, paving the way for a world built on harmony, understanding, and profound reverence for all life. These core themes, interwoven and interdependent, form the bedrock upon which the edifice of full consciousness is built, inviting us to step beyond the confines of limited perception and embrace the boundless truth of who we truly are. Shall we proceed to the next section on deeper symbolic narratives? The profound truths of the final awakening, while intellectually challenging to grasp, often reveal themselves most eloquently through the language of symbol and allegory, much like ancient wisdom traditions conveyed their deepest insights through parables and myths. Imagine, if you will, the entirety of existence as a magnificent, multi-layered dream, a grand cosmic drama unfolding on an infinite stage. For eons, humanity has been playing a specific role within this dream, believing the script, the scenery, and the other characters to be utterly real and separate from themselves. We have been the actors, deeply immersed in our parts, forgetting that we are also the playwright, the director, the stage, and the audience, all simultaneously. The final awakening is the moment the actor on stage suddenly remembers their true identity as the dream weaver, the conscious architect of the entire production. This realization shifts the very foundation of perceived reality, transforming the passive participant into an active co-creator, no longer bound by the limitations of a pre-written narrative, but empowered to consciously shape the unfolding story. Consider the intricate dance of light and shadow within this dream. For so long, we have been captivated by the shadows, believing them to be solid and threatening, or perhaps comforting and familiar. We have chased after fleeting reflections, mistaking them for the source of light itself. This is the allegory of the Cave of Echoes, a timeless narrative that speaks to our collective human experience. Picture beings born and living within a vast, subterranean cavern, their backs perpetually turned to the entrance. All they have ever known are the flickering shadows cast upon the cave wall by a distant fire and the distorted echoes of sounds from the world outside. They meticulously study these shadows, categorize them, build entire philosophies around their movements, and even wage wars over their interpretations. They believe these fleeting images and muffled sounds to be the entirety of reality, never suspecting the vibrant, three-dimensional world that exists just beyond their limited perception. The final awakening is the courageous turning towards the entrance, the first glimpse of unfiltered sunlight, the initial shock of direct experience, and the eventual, awe-inspiring step out of the cave into the boundless expanse of the true world. It is the realization that the shadows were merely projections, and the echoes, distorted reflections of a far richer symphony, a symphony that has always been playing in its full, unadulterated glory. This journey out of the cave is not without its challenges. The eyes, accustomed to the dimness, initially recoil from the blinding brilliance of the sun. The mind, conditioned by the logic of shadows, struggles to comprehend the vastness and complexity of the true landscape. This resistance is the ego's last stand, the clinging to the familiar illusion, even when faced with undeniable truth. It is the fear of the unknown, the comfort of the familiar darkness, that attempts to pull one back into the perceived safety of the cave. Yet for those who persist, who allow their vision to adjust, who bravely step into the light, a profound transformation occurs. They begin to see the vibrant colors of the flowers, feel the warmth of the sun on their skin, hear the unadulterated song of the birds, and breathe the fresh, expansive air. They realize that the outside world was never truly separate, but merely veiled by their own limited perspective, a self-imposed blindness. The cave, in this allegory, represents the confines of the ego mind, the conditioned beliefs, and the collective illusions that have kept humanity tethered to a fragmented reality. Stepping out is the liberation from these self-imposed prisons, the expansion into a consciousness that encompasses all, recognizing the boundless freedom that comes with seeing reality as it truly is. Another powerful symbolic narrative is that of the river and the ocean, illustrating the profound nature of unity consciousness. Imagine a single drop of water, born from a cloud, falling into a vast, flowing river. For a time, this drop identifies solely with its individual form, fearing evaporation, fearing absorption, fearing the loss of its unique identity. It strives to remain separate, to carve its own path within the current, believing itself to be distinct from the millions of other drops around it. It experiences moments of joy as it flows, and moments of fear as it encounters rapids or obstacles, all while clinging to its perceived individuality. Yet, as it continues its journey, it gradually merges with other drops, becoming part of a larger current, then a wider river, until finally, inevitably, it flows into the boundless, eternal ocean. In the ocean, the drop does not cease to exist. Rather, it realizes its true nature. It understands that it was never separate from the ocean to begin with, merely a temporary manifestation of its vastness. Its individuality is not lost but transcended, integrated into the infinite unity of the whole, becoming both a unique expression and the entirety of the ocean simultaneously. This allegory speaks directly to the core theme of unity consciousness and the apprehension many feel about losing their individuality upon awakening. The truth is far more liberating than annihilation. It is not an erasure of self, but an expansion of self to encompass all. The drop, upon merging with the ocean, gains access to the entire ocean's wisdom, its depth, its power, and its boundless expanse. It becomes the ocean while still retaining the memory of being a drop. Similarly, when an individual consciousness merges with the universal consciousness, they do not lose their unique essence. Rather, their unique essence becomes a vibrant, conscious expression of the infinite. The ego, the limited sense of self, dissolves, but the true self, the soul, the divine spark, expands into its full, magnificent potential, realizing its inherent oneness with all creation. This is the ultimate liberation from the confines of the separate self, a joyous return to the boundless source from which all life springs, a realization that the individual and the universal are not two, but one. These symbolic narratives, whether of the dream weaver, the cave of echoes, or the river and the ocean, serve as profound mirrors, reflecting the inner journey of the final awakening. They are not mere stories, but living truths, resonating with the deepest parts of our being, guiding us beyond the limitations of linear thought and into the direct experience of universal wisdom. They remind us that the path to full consciousness is less about acquiring something new and more about remembering what has always been true, shedding the illusions that have obscured our inherent divinity, and stepping into the boundless light of our authentic self. The journey is an invitation to become the dream, to step out of the cave and to merge with the ocean, realizing that we were always and will always be the entirety of it all, a continuous, unfolding expression of the cosmic dance. Do you wish me to continue to section for on practical integration and real-world implications? Having explored the profound symbolic narratives that illuminate the essence of the final awakening, the natural progression leads us to the vital question of how these grand, cosmic insights translate into the tangible fabric of our everyday lives. For what good is a profound realization if it remains confined to the realm of abstract philosophy, detached from the very reality it seeks to transform? The true power of full consciousness lies not in its ethereal nature, but in its capacity to radically reshape our practical experience, influencing every interaction, decision, and perception, grounding the cosmic in the mundane and elevating the mundane to the sacred. This integration is not a separate step, but a continuous unfolding where the awakened individual begins to live from this expanded awareness, rather than merely about it. One of the most immediate and profound real-world implications of dissolving the illusion of separation is a fundamental shift in how we relate to others. When the understanding of unity consciousness moves from intellectual concept to lived experience, the perceived boundaries between self and other begin to soften and eventually dissolve. This doesn't mean losing one's individuality, but rather recognizing the shared essence, the common thread of consciousness that weaves through every being. Consequently, judgment, criticism, and the impulse to compete or dominate naturally diminish. They are replaced by an innate sense of empathy, compassion, and an authentic desire for the well-being of all. Conflicts, when they arise, are approached not as battles to be won, but as opportunities for deeper understanding and collaborative resolution, as one recognizes the reflection of oneself in the perceived adversary. This shift fosters more harmonious relationships, not just with loved ones, but with colleagues, strangers, and even those with whom we might previously have felt antagonism. The world becomes a vast, interconnected family, and every interaction a chance to express the boundless love that is our true nature. Furthermore, the transcendence of linear time profoundly impacts our relationship with stress, anxiety, and the relentless pursuit of future outcomes. In a state of full consciousness, the eternal present moment becomes the primary point of reference. While planning and goal setting still occur, they're no longer driven by fear of the past or anxiety about the future, but by inspired action rooted in the stillness of the now. The weight of regret and the burden of anticipation begin to lift, replaced by a deep trust in the unfolding of life. This doesn't imply passivity, but rather a dynamic engagement with life from a place of inner peace and clarity. Decisions are made with greater intuition, unclouded by the incessant chatter of the ego mind, leading to more aligned and effective actions. The perceived failures of the past are recontextualized as invaluable lessons, and the uncertainties of the future are embraced as open possibilities, all accessible from the boundless potential of the present moment. This shift cultivates a profound sense of inner calm, allowing one to navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace, knowing that every moment holds the seed of infinite possibility. The practical implications extend deeply into our creative expression and sense of purpose. When one realizes they are not merely a separate entity, but an integral part of the cosmic tapestry, the wellspring of creativity becomes boundless. The pressure to achieve or succeed in conventional terms often dissipates, replaced by an intrinsic drive to express one's unique gifts in service of the greater whole. Work transforms from a means to an end into a joyful act of co-creation, an opportunity to channel universal energy into tangible forms. Whether one is an artist, an engineer, a teacher, or a parent, every action becomes imbued with a deeper meaning and a sense of effortless flow. The concept of finding one's purpose evolves into living one's purpose, as the inherent purpose of consciousness itself, to expand, to create, to experience, becomes the guiding principle. This leads to a profound sense of fulfillment that transcends external accolades, rooted in the authentic expression of one's true self. Even our physical well-being is deeply influenced by this awakening. The mind-body connection, once a theoretical concept, becomes an undeniable reality. As the individual releases the grip of fear, anxiety, and limiting beliefs, the body, which is a direct reflection of the inner state, begins to heal and harmonize. Chronic stress, often a root cause of physical ailments, diminishes significantly. The body's innate intelligence, previously overridden by mental noise, can now operate optimally, leading to increased vitality, improved health, and a deeper connection to one's physical vessel as a sacred temple. Furthermore, the awakened individual often develops a heightened sensitivity to their environment, leading to more conscious choices regarding diet, lifestyle, and interaction with nature, recognizing the interconnectedness of personal well-being with the health of the planet. On a broader societal level, the ripple effects of individual awakenings are immense. As more individuals embody full consciousness, the collective vibration of humanity begins to shift. This manifests as a growing demand for transparency, justice, and sustainability in all systems, political, economic, and social. The old paradigms of power, control, and exploitation, built on the illusion of separation, begin to crumble, making way for structures founded on collaboration, equity, and mutual respect. While this transformation is gradual and often challenging, it is an inevitable outcome of an expanding collective consciousness. The solutions to global challenges, from environmental crises to social inequalities, become clearer and more accessible when approached from a place of unity and shared responsibility, rather than fragmented self-interest. The final awakening, therefore, is not merely a personal journey. It is a catalyst for a planetary renaissance, a conscious evolution of humanity towards a more harmonious and sustainable future. It is the practical application of cosmic truth, bringing heaven to earth, one awakened heart at a time, transforming the very fabric of our shared reality through the power of conscious presence and boundless love. Would you like me to begin?
We have
journeyed
section
through the
5,
intricate
the
layers
conclusion
of
and
what it
transformational
means
call.
to experience the final awakening, from its initial cosmic invitation to its profound practical implications in the tapestry of daily life. We began by envisioning existence as a grand symphony, where the awakening is the sudden perception of the entire orchestra, a shift from a single note to the boundless melody itself. We then delved into the core themes that underpin this transformation: the dissolution of the illusion of separation, the embrace of unity consciousness, the transcendence of linear time, the understanding of reality as a fluid projection, the shift from external knowledge to internal knowing, and the foundational principle of unconditional love. These concepts, far from being abstract, are the very architecture of an awakened existence. Our exploration continued through the evocative power of symbolic narratives: the dream weaver, the cave of echoes, and the river and the ocean, each serving as a profound mirror, reflecting the inner journey of shedding illusions and remembering our inherent divinity. Finally, we grounded these cosmic insights in the tangible realm, observing how they manifest as deeper empathy, reduced stress, boundless creativity, enhanced well-being, and a catalyst for global transformation. Now, as we draw this exploration to a close, we arrive at the precipice of a profound realization. The final awakening is not merely a concept to be understood, but an experience to be lived. It is not a distant peak to be conquered, but the very ground beneath our feet, waiting to be recognized. The journey is less about acquiring something new and more about remembering what has always been true, shedding the layers of forgetfulness that have obscured our inherent brilliance. It is the courageous act of turning inward, of listening to the subtle whispers of the soul, and of daring to question the very foundations of our perceived reality. This is the ultimate liberation, the freedom that comes from realizing we are not merely passengers on the ship of life, but the very ocean upon which it sails. The transformational call, therefore, is not a command, but an invitation to introspection, to courage, and to a radical reevaluation of what it means to be alive. It asks us to look beyond the superficial narratives of the world, to peer through the veils of illusion, and to connect with the boundless source of wisdom and love that resides within. This is not a path for the faint of heart, for it demands a willingness to confront our deepest fears, to release old patterns that no longer serve our highest good, and to embrace the exhilarating uncertainty of the unknown. Yet, for those who answer this call, the rewards are immeasurable: a profound sense of inner peace, an unwavering connection to purpose, a boundless capacity for joy, and the realization of an interconnectedness that transcends all perceived boundaries. Imagine, for a moment, the collective impact if even a significant fraction of humanity were to fully embrace this awakening. The world, as we know it, would be irrevocably transformed. Conflicts would dissolve as empathy became the default response. Scarcity would give way to abundance as collaboration replaced competition. Environmental degradation would cease as humanity recognized its inherent unity with the planet. This is not a utopian fantasy, but a tangible possibility, a future that is actively being co-created by every individual who chooses to awaken. Each conscious breath, each act of compassion, each moment of presence contributes to the rising tide of collective consciousness, gently yet powerfully shifting the very fabric of our shared reality. The final awakening is, in essence, a return to wholeness. It is the recognition that the fragmented self, the isolated ego, was merely a temporary construct, a necessary stage in the grand evolutionary journey of consciousness. As this construct dissolves, the true self emerges, vast, boundless, and eternally connected to the source of all creation. This is the ultimate homecoming, a profound sense of belonging that transcends physical location or external circumstances. It is the realization that we are never truly alone, never truly separate, but always, and in every moment, an integral part of the divine tapestry of existence. So, the question remains not what happens when you reach full consciousness, but rather, are you ready to remember that you already are full consciousness? The journey is ongoing, the veils are thinning, and the symphony of existence is calling us to listen with new ears, to see with new eyes, and to live from the boundless heart of our awakened being. The time for this remembrance is now. The invitation stands. The awakening is not coming. It is here within you, waiting to be fully embraced. Step into the light, for you are the light, and the universe awaits your full, magnificent expression.